It was a night darker than any the desert had seen, the kind of night where even the stars seemed afraid to shine. The unit had set camp, a fragile circle of tired men surrounded by silence. No one knew that, within hours, silence would turn into chaos. Among them was a young soldier, barely 22, carrying the weight of responsibility that didn't belong on shoulders so young. He was the quiet one, the kind who wrote letters when others laughed, the kind who prayed when others cursed. No one expected that he would be the reason any of them lived to see dawn. The night crept forward. The desert air grew colder, the fire burned lower, and the men drifted into uneasy sleep. But the soldier couldn't. Something inside him, an instinct, a whisper, kept him awake. He kept scanning the horizon, clutching his rifle, listening to the heartbeat of the night. And then it came, the faint crunch of boots on sand, the subtle metallic click of weapons being loaded, shadows moving where no shadow should be. His heart pounded. They were surrounded. The enemy was already in position, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He had seconds to decide, stay silent, and watch his brothers die in their sleep, or risk everything to wake them. Not tonight, he whispered to himself. Not while I'm still breathing. The young soldier's chest tightened as the shadows drew closer. He knew the first shot could come any second. Without thinking twice, he leapt to his feet, firing into the darkness. The sudden crack of gunfire ripped through the still night, jolting his brothers awake. Chaos erupted. Explosions tore across the sand. Bullets zipped past their ears, and the camp that had been silent seconds ago now echoed with screams and fire. But because of that one warning shot, the unit was alive, scrambling for cover instead of lying helpless in their sleep. "Stay low! Move! Get to the barricade!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the storm. He wasn't the highest rank. He wasn't the oldest. But in that moment, every man looked to him. He could have stayed in cover with them. He could have hidden, prayed, and waited. But he didn't. He saw the enemy closing in fast from the flank, and he knew if they breached that side, everyone was gone. So he ran, straight into the fire. Bullets ripped into the sand at his feet. Smoke stung his eyes, but he didn't stop. He grabbed the heavy machine gun that had been left unmanned and swung it toward the enemy line. His hand shook, but his heart was steady. The gun roared. For precious seconds it was just him holding back the tide, giving his brothers the chance to regroup. They shouted his name, begging him to fall back, but he didn't hear. Or maybe he just couldn't. "Not tonight," he repeated under his breath, firing until the barrel burned hot. "Not while they still need me." A grenade landed just feet away. He saw it. He knew. Time seemed to slow, the desert going eerily quiet. And then he made his choice. He lunged, grabbing it with both hands, and ran toward the darkness away from his brothers. The explosion lit up the night sky like a cruel sunrise. The earth shook, and then silence. For a moment, the battle stopped. Both sides froze, stunned by what they had just witnessed, and in that silence, his unit realized he had just given them life at the cost of his own. The battlefield went still after the blast. Smoke curled into the night sky, carrying with it the last breath of the young soldier. His brothers scrambled out from cover, their hearts pounding, their throats raw from shouting his name. But he was gone. They found only his helmet lying in the dirt, dented and scorched, a silent witness to what he had done. The ground where he had stood was torn apart, yet in that destruction, there was life. His entire unit, alive because of him. One of the men, the oldest in the squad, fell to his knees. His hand shook as he picked up the helmet, pressing it to his chest like it was a holy relic. Tears streaked down his dust-covered face. "He saved us," he whispered, his voice breaking. "The kid saved us all." But the story didn't end on that battlefield. Weeks later, when the unit returned home, they carried more than scars. They carried his memory. At the small hometown church, his mother sat in the front pew, clutching a folded flag to her chest. She had always feared this day would come, but nothing could have prepared her for the words that followed. The commander stepped forward, his voice trembling. "Ma'am, your son didn't just fight bravely. He saved every single man standing here today. We are alive because he chose not to save himself." Silence filled the room. Soldiers who had walked through fire stood with heads bowed, tears in their eyes, because no medal, no speech could ever repay what he had given them. And then came the twist that shattered everyone's heart. Inside his pocket, recovered from the battlefield, they found a small, unfinished letter, written in shaky handwriting, the last words he ever put to paper. "Dear Mom, if I don't make it home, don't cry for me. Just know that I gave my life the way you taught me to live, protecting others, loving deeper than fear, and never walking away when someone needed me. Tell them I wasn't afraid. Tell them I went down fighting and smiling." His mother held that letter to her heart, her tears falling onto the ink, blurring the words. But she didn't sob. She closed her eyes, lifted her head, and whispered, "You kept your promise, my boy. You saved them, and you'll live forever through them. The story ends not in silence, but in legacy." The night a soldier saved his entire unit wasn't the night he died. It was the night his courage became immortal.